Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Have you ever just stopped for a second and noticed the sheer volume of the world we live in today? I mean, we are literally constantly surrounded by people, right? We're getting pinged on social media, messaging friends, collaborating in shared workspaces, and yet at the very end of the day, when the screens finally go dark, so many of us are left with this strange, hollow emptiness. So why is that? Well, the source material we're digging into today suggests it's because we've successfully become part of the crowd, but in the process, we've kind of entirely forgotten how to meet ourselves. So today, we're going to explore the architecture of inner stillness. We're bridging that massive gap between our hyper-connected, high-pressure digital lives and the really profound wisdom of ancient Stoicism. Let's step away from the noise for a bit and see how we can build some lasting peace right within ourselves.
Despite being surrounded by thousands on social media, why are we empty inside? I really want you to reflect on that paradox for a moment. Whether you're a CSE student grinding late into the night on algorithms or a MERN developer constantly networking, coding, and pushing commits, you are plugged into this massive global network. You might have thousands of connections, followers, or teammates buzzing in your Slack channels. Your brain is just processing this relentless stream of data. Yet, despite being this single most connected generation in human history, there's this profound feeling of being totally disconnected from ourselves. We're basically running on a treadmill of notifications, and honestly, it's exhausting.
All right, let's look at Section 1, the trap of comparison, why the digital hustle exhausts us.
This constant exposure to everyone else's highlight reels is basically a major bug in our mental software. We see someone land that top-tier tech job, ship a flawless app, or ace an impossible exam, and boom, immediately we start doubting our own hard work. We look at our messy, behind-the-scenes struggles and compare them to someone else's perfectly curated end product. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this comparison here. On the left, we have a rose, and on the right, a sunflower. Imagine asking a rose why it isn't blooming exactly like the sunflower. It sounds completely ridiculous, right? Because in nature, there is absolutely no comparison. Each flower just blooms precisely in its own time and in its own way. But we do this to ourselves all the time. We compare our own unique learning curves and struggles to the curated successes of others, and it's just entirely futile.
You've got to remember this. The sun shines on its time, the moon on its own. Your race is yours alone. Think about it. When you log on to LinkedIn or GitHub and start racing against the achievements of other people, you're entering a race that guarantees you will never truly win. Why? Because you're literally running on someone else's track. Your timeline is uniquely yours. The relentless digital hustle tells us we're always falling behind, but nature tells us a completely different story.
And this brings us to a really fascinating concept from the text that we can call old money peace or quiet luxury. It's this state of dignity and tranquility that you achieve when you just stop comparing yourself to everyone else. It's all about finding value internally. In today's digital world, success is so often portrayed as loud, flashy, and honestly, a bit desperate for attention, screaming for likes and validation. But true success, the kind of success that Stoic monks understood centuries ago, is not loud. It's quiet, it's disciplined, and it's incredibly intentional. When you finally stop comparing, you step right into this dignified, unshakable peace.
Okay, let's dive into this next part. Section 2, Power of the Present and Discipline, Patching the Mental Code.
We so often trick ourselves into thinking that peace is a destination. Like, if I just finish this massive project, or if I just graduate, then I'll finally find peace. But the source material reminds us that true peace is only ever found in the present moment. Think about this powerful analogy, especially if you're living that developer lifestyle. Like a small mistake in code stops the whole program, the regret of the past or fear of the future stops our entire life. Just one missing semicolon, one tiny syntax error, and your entire application crashes. It just completely stops working. Well, our minds operate the exact same way. A mental syntax error, like lingering regret over a past failure, or paralyzing anxiety about a future deadline, crashes our whole life's program. When your mental bandwidth is totally consumed by the past or the future, the program of your present life just completely halts. So, to fix those mental bugs, we actually need a totally new understanding of discipline. The explainer defines it like this. Discipline is not a restriction or a prison, but the deliberate act of channeling your energy in the right direction. We so often think of discipline as punishing ourselves, right? Like forcing ourselves to grind out code for 14 hours straight. But true Stoic discipline is simply about focusing your mental bandwidth on what truly matters in the present moment.
It's about directing your energy efficiently, rather than letting it scatter into past regrets or future anxieties.
Moving right along to Section 3. Silence is your biggest strength, the actionable detox.
All right, so we've talked about the philosophy, but how do we actually apply this quiet luxury mindset? In a world of relentless noise, how do we actually find that inner stillness? Well, the source outlines these 3 remarkably simple steps. 1. Put your phone away for 30 minutes. 2. Sit in silence. 3. Feel your breath. Now, I know if you're constantly juggling project deadlines and a million notifications, sitting doing absolutely nothing might feel like a huge waste of time, or worse, it might feel empty. But the text really emphasizes that this is not emptiness. This is an absolutely essential recharge for your soul. Just like your devices need to be plugged into the wall to work, your mind needs to be unplugged from the digital world to restore its battery.
Which brings us to a really vital question. I want to ask you this directly. If we spend all our time looking at someone else's highlight reel on Instagram, what are we missing in our own room right now? Just pause and really let that sink in. When your eyes are glued to a screen, seeking external validation or comparing your life to a digital illusion, you are entirely absent from your own physical reality. Ground yourself. Look around your room. Stop seeking what's out there and start noticing what is right here.
I absolutely love this quote from the source. Silence is not weakness. It is the shield behind which your greatest strength is hidden. You know, the world is always going to demand something from you. More code, more productivity, more social engagement. But your ability to just say no to the world's constant demands, that is the ultimate modern luxury. It's your superpower. A person who lives in peace leaves a powerful impact simply by their presence. You really don't have to be the loudest person in the room to be the strongest.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 4. Be your story's hero, compiling the final build.
We are shifting the locus of control entirely inward now. We've identified the bugs of comparison, we've applied the patches of present moment discipline, and we've utilized the shield of silence. So the crucial point is this: you are the sole hero of your story. Stop living for the applause, the likes, or the validation of everyone else. Listen to your own tune, and most importantly, take full responsibility for your peace today. You can't wait for the tech industry to slow down or for social media to somehow become less toxic. You have to cultivate that quiet luxury within yourself. Because, at the end of the day, when the screens finally go dark, you're the only one you have to live with.
So, we want to leave you with this final, lingering question. What will you choose today? The exhausting noise of the crowd or the quiet luxury of your own inner peace? The power is entirely in your hands. If this explainer touched you or helped you reframe your perspective today, please share it with someone who might be feeling a little overwhelmed by the digital hustle right now. Thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, take a moment, step away from the screen, and go master your own inner stillness.